Man, that's a good question because there's a wide variety of that, right? One, it's respectable and it loves the IP, that it the show understands the X-Men, whether it's from, Bo's initial vision to animators animating overseas to our sound design, everybody, the level of love that every department and every artist has on this show is constantly mind-bogglingly wonderful to me, because I've never been on an IP where there's just so much love for people that are working on it prior to them getting on it. And the reason why I believe it's being received so well is there's a reason why the 90s themes are coming back, because the original show never shied away from themes that the X-Men were, quite frankly, created for. And to for the education and the things that we as a populace have learned since 92, and realizing we've grown, but also we still have more to grow and more to learn. There's always blind spots. I do believe that the bar for comprehension and understanding and knowing, uh we can be better, or I can look at something in a new light, or understanding a different point of view that's different, from one's own. I think that bar has just raised in far as, again, as far as comprehension and understanding, and X-Men with those themes raises the bar as far as what the I guess what the mental, visual, physical cap is for encapsulating that for a modern audience. Uh, and to be quite frank too, I think the nostalgia and the love of 90s and the love of analog, uh, you know, tactile texture things in this day of digital is something that's just kind of in the resurgence too. So I think doing all of that together, baking a really good cake that it has, combining all of those ingredients, I'm quite grateful and honestly not surprised that the audience is taking well to X-Men as they are, because this team works really hard to do it. Sure, yeah, man. So bringing everybody up to speed on what's happening up to episode 5. Well, we started with Remember the Good Times. We started with Remember the X-Men. They're back. Remember the themes and why the X-Men were created, and the further narrative and representation that it stands for, right? Then it became then we started to notice that Magneto became the leader of the X-Men by will and testament of Charles Xavier, who is no longer with us. We go from Magneto in a little bit of tough stuff first with the X-Men, but ultimately he proves his validity as far as being a leader, being the new face of mutant human coexistence against his wishes, right? But we see him turn a new leaf. We see him begin to understand that in order to achieve Xavier's dream, he needs to do it this way. Kind of questioning everything that he's taught himself and led to believe. And then the mutants get accepted, and a wonderful island nation of Genosha gets accepted into the UN. The mutants once again have a place to flourish, to thrive, to live, a place to call safe, and a place to call home, a nation all their own. And it gets taken away from us by master mold and villainy that we are not quite sure on who it is yet or what it is. And that forces our X-Men to face a world that changes for them overnight, and a callback to what was told to them in episode 1 by their main villain in that first episode, Trask, when he says, you have no idea what it's like to be left behind by the future. The X-Men now have to realize that reality and what that looks like for them moving forward in the aftermath of Genosha. And so, and in the aftermath of losing not only one of their own, but their brand new leader, that was coming in right as things were working out. So, yeah, it's a very different world that the X-Men and mutant kind face. Not only them, but also just, you know, the world as a whole. And we get to see what the ramifications and consequences and fallout of those events are. The new anti-mutant technology. Well, the word escalation and the phrase escalation is very real in the world of the X-Men. The new anti-mutant technology stems from old recycled and upcycled Sentinel tech. The FOH and members alike, they figured out a way how to adapt in a world that is adapting without them or ahead of them as they may feel. And they chose to, yeah, upcycle and revamp Sentinel technology to weaponize it in personable form to, in an effort to, as they feel, level the playing field as far as, you know, mutant human coexistence. It's all bad. It's all bad technology and it's stuff that we don't want, but the FOH have it, and the X-Men have to figure out a way to stop it. And more importantly, where it's coming from. Comic book Easter eggs in the second episode. Well, one, you know, it's I gotta first and foremost go to absolutely the trial of Magneto, X-Men, you know, number 200. The iconic cover of Magneto in metal shackles of all things, right? In front of a grand jury on trial for his crimes against humanity, willingly being there on trial for his crimes against humanity, where we when we read 200, Magneto uses that as a way to be a platform to begin to try to pull ears into what he has to say. And so getting, when, you know, when we realized we were going to be doing that episode, and the mission statement was to, hey, go to the source material, go to the books. And when we realized we were deliberately, you know, for one of the shots, deliberately pulling the comic book cover to put in animated form, that made all of us very excited here. The music in episode 5. First and foremost, got to give absolute shout out to Andy and Taylor Newton, the Newton brothers. They continue to elevate and raise the bar for what animation and episodic television music can have, you know, because, you know, there's time constraints and turnarounds are quick. But also what I love about what they bring to the table as well for our music is how often we hear the X-Men theme, but orchestrated or composed in a different way for sake of the style of or level of storytelling that's needed, whether it's an action you know, conversion of the original theme, or an operatic or a sad version of the X-Men theme. Just their absolute knowledge and love of roping that into the show as often as they can, and then still making it their own and elevating every single emotional or just quite frankly visual element that's on screen. Everything they touch on the show is just amplified, and I really look forward to the audience catching more of their work as the show goes on. What I think surprised the fans most about the first 5 episodes is I don't think they were expecting to get the show that they were wanting. The show that, quite frankly, I think we needed as X-Men fans, and just, you know, as consumers in general, as far as, you know, themes and stories and stuff that the show and characters don't shy away from. What do fans have to look forward to in the next 5 episodes? Consequences, potentially, you know, consequences of heartbreak, loss, consequences of things done right, things done wrong, certain character arcs that are propelled by the loss of, you know, Magneto and Gambit, and also the big reveal of who or what is orchestrating things behind the curtain, and ultimately just watching the X-Men face the very thing that they themselves in existence ask the world to do, is accept the future, accept coexistence. I really look forward to the audience getting to see what happens when the X-Men have to face those very challenges that they stand for.